Welcome to the Divinely Human podcast. I am your co-host, Aleisha.
And I am Tanita.
Welcome to the Christmas party. Welcome to the end of year celebration. Welcome to the final escapade of 2022 on the Divinely Human podcast. I'm so excited to sit here and just revel in the year that has been. I know that we've already gotten off onto a start, so let's continue on.
Yes. For those watching the recording later on when we release it, we're actually on Instagram Live with our community at the moment, and it's so beautiful because, part of the reason why we started this podcast was to actually connect deeper with the community, was to create relationships and invite more conversation into this space. So it's so beautiful, and it may have taken us a couple of months to get here, but we're here, we're sitting here live with you all, and I'm so freaking grateful. Thank you guys for being here. It's awesome. Truly. Oh, look at all the love hearts. Love it.
It is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing. And what a year it has been. What a year it has been. I was just talking tonight to my partner, and I just want to share something. And I was kind of speaking to him about how out of everything that I've done this year, this has been the one thing that hasn't necessarily brought in, obviously, financial gain or anything. But I said to him, this has been the number one thing on my list that has just brought through so much joy and just ignited. It's felt like such a passion project to me. And I feel so grateful to share this space with you, Tanita. And even he said, he was like, it's amazing that you guys connected. Hey, like out of everyone in the whole world, like you guys connected and look what you guys are doing. And I was like, don't get me teary before we start.
Literally. Oh my God. That is the kindest thing ever. I totally agree. And I always think back to the conversations we had at the beginning where we were like, we don't want to put any pressure, because we were both feeling immense pressure in our businesses just to show up, to create money, to create impact. And we really just needed an outlet for fun. And this turned into so much more than fun for me. Like, it turned into a way of self-reflecting, a way of connecting with the community deeper, getting to know you and like our relationship. It's just been so magic, but also it has been the biggest bullshit cutter ever. Like, having you in my world every single week has just absolutely cut like 90% of the bullshit that I just would not have seen by myself. So I love that. I love that for me. And I'm grateful we get to do this together, truly.
I agree. It's kind of like having guardian angels on your shoulder every single week on a Monday.
Yes.
And for me, what's really funny is that, like, obviously I go to therapy myself. We all have problems. But and this year has been especially hard for me in terms of mental health and things like that. And isn't it crazy that I can sit here and honestly say that Monday, sitting down with you and just unpacking what's happening in our world, what's happening collectively, has been more help than anything in my world at the moment for, the span of the last 12 months. And I just feel so privileged to be able to share this space with you. And not only just you, but also the beautiful people that we see giving feedback on the episodes every week and coming and, saying like what's unlocked for them after listening to certain episodes and diving into different dialogues that we've had with each other and with them. Because I like to think that it is such a co-creative, community-led podcast, because it is like 50%, or actually I would go as far to say, 60% of what we speak about on this podcast has been brought through by the collective and by the community in which we share this space with, which has made it so fucking special. It's just been so, I don't know, it just adds this layer to it that is just so personal. And that it's helping to expand anyone who wants to dive in and listen to it. And I mean, the people that have given us feedback on it, I mean, words don't lie, and it's just been so rewarding.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that is something that I really loved experiencing, was hearing everybody else's interpretation of the podcast and just kind of allowing myself to be more vulnerable as well, because something that I always say is, you know, we grow through conversation, we story tell, and it's important for me and my journey in this life to use my own experiences to help other people understand theirs. And it's been beautiful just being able to do that and watching how that kind of unravels. And there's always this fear in the back of your head that, you know, you're being self-centered, like people are going to think really nasty things of you, that you just like listening to yourself talk, like all of these negative self-talk does come into the picture, but it gets less and less with every single week. I found like that we progress into this, the more that I let my walls down, the more that I actually enjoy the whole process, the more that I just like not worry about the outcome as much. That to me is what feels fulfilling. And it's a completely different energy to what I personally started out this year with, which was like, I want to go hard. I want to like chase my goals. I want to like achieve a lot of success. And it's just interesting watching how that's kind of pivoted. What about you? Like, how do you feel starting at the beginning of this year and now entering, you know, the last couple of moments of this year? What has been some major shifts for you along this journey? I'm so curious because we haven't talked about this.
We haven't talked about this. And in fact, just to preface this whole experience right now that we're all having with you guys, we actually haven't really talked about anything that we're going to speak about today. So this is all completely organic and coming through as we're going. So we thought that we'd roll this way. In saying that, though, I really do resonate. And I feel like we've done this the whole year. We've kind of like ping-ponged off each other. Is that the right word? It's been this like ping pong game of like, I'm going through this. And then you're like, I'm going through that. And then you're like, I'm going through this. I'm going through that. And it's kind of like, it's really funny because I was thinking about it. It's like, you know, when you're with like, you spend a lot of time with other women and then you're like, your cycles sync up. That's kind of what we've done energetically throughout the year, right? So I feel the same. I started off this year and I told myself at the end of 2021 that I was going to be coaching, mentoring big groups of people. I was going to be like bringing through all of these people and holding space for like, even though I have with my clans and stuff like that, but like I'm talking about like, I don't know, experiences that go over like months and months and months and months and months, like big numbers, big volumes, big, I don't know, just everything to me at the end of 2021 seemed to be like I was bringing in everything big. And it's really funny because I feel like throughout the journey of this year, I've realized that there's needed to be this, how do I explain it? This realization that I needed to do a lot of reflection. I needed to do a lot of shadow work, and I needed to make sure that I was coming through from such a deep-rooted place of integrity that I did none of that. I did none of it. And I mean, like, I'm at the end of 2022 now, and I'm feeling like everything that happened this year was so aligned and so right for me in my journey and where I'm at. It's kind of like, yeah, I was like pushing, hustle, take on everything that you can instead of, and I like, to be honest with you, I spent the whole year doing that and trying to give. And I've gotten to the end of the year and I feel so depleted and I honestly feel so tired and exhausted. So, I mean, if that tells you anything,
big changes coming
that's
next
how I'm
year.
feeling.
Yes, no.
Absolutely.
I hear you 1000%. And it's really interesting how we did cycle up like that, because we are not close and we actually don't always kind of talk about our personal lives straight off the bat. Like usually one of us will like just randomly bring something up in conversation, like just spur of the moment, and then the other one of us will be like, oh my God, that's literally what's happening to me. So it's really interesting watching this play out. And that's why I think it is so important for me moving into next year to watch who I am hanging around with, because the influence that other people's energies have on me, I had no idea the impact, right? Like I know we spend an hour a week FaceTime together on Zoom, but like the people who I'm spending every day with, right, day in, day out, that I'm talking with, that I'm putting a lot of time and energy, I had no idea the impact that was having on me. Social media, the people that I'm like communicating with, all of that. And if anything, I've learned that I started this year really trying to appease everybody else and trying to live up to this expectation that I thought others perceived me to be at. And now I'm just leaving this year being like, you know what, fuck it. Like I just want to be me without any sort of restraint, without any sort of pressure to look a certain way or perform a certain way or do something a certain way. And I'm really just becoming very cutthroat with who I want to spend time with and why I want to spend time with them, and not just in real life, but on social media too. And it's really interesting because this podcast connected me with so many women, especially that I might not have crossed paths with. And it's beautiful to watch that unravel, right? But I feel like you have to put yourself in the arena. And I'll be honest, like I was feeling for last week, I was feeling like I'd made so many mistakes this year, like I'd gone off the path, like, you know, it just didn't end up like how I thought it would. But now moving into this week, I'm feeling very similar to you. I know everything happened for a reason, and these lessons came up to teach me that this is really important to me, protecting my energy, surrounding myself with people who want to uplift me, and really digging into my true intentions. That's what's important to me. What's not important to me is chasing somebody else's ideal of success, running a podcast for the sake of running a podcast, like all of these accolades. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where 2023 takes us, but I'm also nervous. I'm not going to fucking lie, because so much has shifted in my mindset that I am like, I feel like I'm entering like a newborn baby in 2023. You know, like everything is going to change. I really feel that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I just want to just interject for a second and just say, just repeat what Carly just said in the comments. She said, your unique vibe is what makes you girls. And I mean, not to have a big head, but I can't agree more. I feel like this whole year has been us just trying to, and it hasn't been like an intentional going against the grain, like just to go against the grain. It's been a, hang on, let's look at this energy. Let's look at the spiritual space. Let's look at the spiritual community and see where the inconsistencies are. Let's see where the funky energy is laying around in here. And we've really kind of questioned it. We've really put it on the stand and questioned it all fucking year. And to be honest with you, it hasn't been easy. It has not been easy. It's been really tough. And there has been moments where we have been in a really tough space of, you know, is this space where I want to be? Because there has been such an influx of, let's be honest, I'm just going to be honest. There's been like such a, there has been such a hijacking of this spiritual space the last 2 years that I've been questioning, you know, even at the end of this year, like in 2022, you know, I've been thinking, is this a space for me? Because it's really turned into this space where, this is really hard to say, but
I've got you. It's all right. You can say it. Please say it.
In some context, it's been this space where people have kind of lost sight of the reason why we're here and why we're tapping into unraveling ourselves and why we're on this journey in the first place. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with this because I'm sure that we're going to speak about it next year a lot. But we've both questioned this space and what it's turned into the last 2 years. And I think from what we're going to be laying down and the foundations that we're moving forward with, we're really going to be encouraging people to get back to their roots and what they're doing here and why they're even here in the first place and if this is the space for them. That's a tough one, but that's what I feel like we're moving into.
Yeah, I feel it too. I really do. And I feel like I have to keep turning this down so it doesn't echo. Sorry. But I feel like we declared at the beginning of the year that we wanted to step even further into our most authentic selves. And what I didn't realize about that declaration at the beginning was the fact that you are always unraveling continuously into your, I'm going to say purest, and I just mean purest in the terms of like it's not influenced or negated by anybody else's terms, beliefs, or structures, but you unravel into the most authentic version of yourself. And I feel like this year we really did intentionally unravel so many layers and then unintentionally be shown layers that we had no idea we even had to unravel. And one of them was this space. Like I really entered 2022 very in love with working online, and I'm kind of leaving with not as much love as what I began this year with. And that's what scares me. But I am excited to continue that conversation next year because I think it's, really, really important to talk about these hard things. And that's why I love doing it on this podcast, because we get to talk about the hard things. But I'm kind of curious. I see a couple of comments. Yes, by the way, Aleisha has definitely been a mermaid in a past life, Jade. I love that comment. I'm curious what everybody else has learned while we continue chatting. I really want to hear from you guys. What has been one thing that you entered 2022 being almost so sure of, and now you're leaving, entering 2023, kind of just having some second guesses? I really want to hear from you guys because
yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah. I would love this to happen if you guys could just share, if you feel called to share, exactly what Tina said, what you came here with in the start of 2022, what you're leaving with. I feel like that in itself is such a huge reflection to have, because a lot of the time we look back and we're like, who even is that person that entered this year? Who is she? So I would love to hear that. So please feel free to drop it in the comments to let us know, because we'd love to kind of speak into that a little bit and give that a little bit of airtime as well. But yeah, what a year. Jade says 2022 has been a little rougher than I thought it would be, but the growth and progress has also been impressive. Yeah. It's weird. I agree. I feel like it's been such like in a way, I feel like we've almost been a little bit blindsided this year. Like we thought we were entering with these set intentions, and the energy has been so intense this year that we're kind of leaving. It's like we've done a few backflips.
Yes, literally.
Carly says, I thought I knew myself, found new shit and new shadow shit. That was yet to be uncovered. Oofed, Carly. Oofed. I feel you, girl.
Yes, literally.
I feel you.
It has been a year of digging through the shit. That's literally what it's been like, right? Like just digging up new parts of ourselves. And you know what? Another thing, as I'm reading these comments, another thing that came up for me was actually my unhealthy connection to digging up my shit. And I'm just going to let that sit there for a second, because this was like a real mind blower for me, and I want to share it for you guys in case anything comes up for you. But I really entered this year wanting to better myself and wanting to be the best version of myself. And I became actually really in this unhealthy relationship with trying to become my better version of myself. And I am now leaving this year wanting to better myself because I actually love myself, not because I hate who I am, I hate my life, I hate, every single part of me. So I want to bring that to the table, because I hope that's something that we can all leave behind as well, is actually working on ourselves because we love ourselves, not because we dislike ourselves,
Yeah, or not necessarily that we're just so actively trying to change ourselves,
Yeah.
And I feel like we've continuously touched on this on many, many podcasts this year about really just tuning back into the body and what the body is wanting us to lead with, instead of what the ego mind wants us to roll with and run with and take away. I think that's been a huge thing. I'm just scrolling up because so many people have just written down some lessons. So Charlotte says, I came into 2022 with the one I thought was my forever. He then dumped me 3 days in. Now here I am, still single, but knowing my worth isn't in a man. Can we just have a cheers?
Yes, literally. A cheers to Charlie for recognizing her worth and standing up for what she fucking deserves. Cheers.
Yeah. I mean, the universe has a plan, girl. The universe has a plan. Oh, I forgot to drink after my cheers.
Oh my God.
Okay, so hello, crystals. 2022 has been a big learning experience for me. Opening a business and trying to find myself again and learning to set boundaries.
Yes.
I feel like the biggest thing, and like it's really sad that I'm only learning this year, like 5 years into my business, but boundaries, I wish boundaries were one of the first things that I established.
In like the book of becoming an entrepreneur, that should be like page 1, chapter 1, like set boundaries. But it's a really hard lesson to learn, isn't it? Like we all have to learn that lesson. And like some of us, we are still learning that lesson. So good on you for learning that super early.
Oh man. Tash at Moonlight Wisdom says, 2022 uncovered a new level of faith in a higher power. There were times I had nothing but faith. Oof, if that isn't like the epitome of the journey, of the spiritual journey back to yourself, I don't even know what is, Tash. Honestly, that's a big revelation for you.
Yeah.
Big revelation.
I literally had chills as you were reading that out. That was pretty intense. And a beautiful lesson to step into. I think if anything, through the spicy sea, that really propelled me into faith a lot deeper than I had anticipated, So that's interesting. It's still happening for so many of us.
It is really interesting, isn't it? And I feel like, just to interject here with a little bit of a topic change, but I feel like there's a lesson that came out of this whole period of time that I didn't expect to come out of it, and that's stop letting so much distract you from the work, from your journey, from your path. We're not here to sit around and question every single little detail that's happening in the world. We're not commentators. I'm so fucking sick of being like a commentator of world events. I am fucking done. I am so done. It has distracted me that much from myself this year that I cannot even begin to tell you how much it has depleted my energy just by giving my energy to everything else but myself.
Yeah.
So that's been my biggest lesson with this whole period of period. I can't even say period.
I love how you say periody. Periody of time. Well, it is kind of like a parody, isn't it? It's been this year has been a fucking parody almost, you know? So you're right on par there. Oh,
it's
Lord.
like I secretly want to rap, but I'm like, no.
Oh my God. Can that be like a 2023 Aleisha version just coming out from the shadows, just ready to rap and like tear up the floor? Can we please redo the intro for season 2 of the Divinely Human podcast and rap it? This is my biggest dream. I was like one in high school who was like rapping all of the time. Like, so yes, this would be perfect. This is like a teenage dream come true.
Oh man, yes. So moving on.
What?
I just want to say, Tegan. I just want to read what Tegan said. Is that okay?
I guess I can't even see it. So yeah.
I'm also not wearing glasses, guys, and I'm actually supposed to be wearing glasses for reading, and I literally don't even have a fucking clue. So I'm just bear with me. Tegan says 2022 was the year of my spiritual rebirth. The growth I've had this year has been crazy, and you girls have had a lot of positive impact on me. So glad I discovered you both on here. Please, can you not make us cry this early on?
Please, that is such a beautiful comment.
Oh, Tegan. We love you, Tegan. Honestly,
we feel that
it means
right
the
back
world.
Too. Yeah. I love the lag on this too, by the way.
I know your live on Instagram is faster than the Zoom call.
That's so confusing.
So I'm actually trying to look at your mouth in the live on Instagram and like forget about the fact that we have a Zoom call going for the platforms that we post on.
Oh, Lord help us.
Oh my goodness. Iana says, I have released and integrated so much. Shadow work has definitely been a priority. Integration. I feel like integration has definitely been one of the biggest key players in this year. I feel like for me, I mean, I speak for myself. I hate to like generalize and just say this is like been a collective thing. But for me personally, let me know if you feel this, Tanita. I feel like I have been integrating so much this year that I feel like I'm coming out of this year with brand new perceptions of myself, my life, the world, the collective, my experience.
Yes.
Just like
it's literally everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Literally. I feel the exact same way. And I even feel it like usually because I've got a lot of energy in my 10th house. A lot of my energy is focused towards like heading towards that north node and like learning about creativity in this life. But it's interesting because a lot of the focus this year has been on the day-to-day stuff, like the stuff that I'm interacting with all of the time. And usually I'm a very big picture thinker. And so this year has really just brought me into the details, like the finer details to everything, like why I'm even worrying about cleaning the house before I want to go and do my meditation, like little things like that, right? And it's so interesting because that is part of integration. Integration is about getting you right into the very moment here and trying to understand what is all of the energy that's like making you at this particular time. So I feel that to my absolute core. Integration has been a really big theme. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually interested, and I really want to ask a question to those who are watching right now live. And I'm really curious to know what episode, if you've been following along during the year, what episode really maybe helped shift you or moved you or just created like quite a big impact. There's been a few for me personally. I feel like the episode we just did on Lilith was a huge shaker for me. I feel like the mental health one that we did was a huge wake-up call. Like, honestly, it was so that was a really vulnerable moment to be on a podcast crying and kind of just laying my heart out. Yeah, I feel like it's been really big. But also I just have to say, like, the first one we ever did, like what it means to be divinely human, also will always stay within my heart. What about you, Tanita?
That's such a good question. Honestly, I think I want to go back and listen to that first one we ever did because I think we weren't expecting that. Like, we had kind of had longer conversations before, especially in front of an audience, but that episode was really our like coming out party in podcasting, and it was really beautiful to just feel into the energy and the possibility of what it could be. So I love that episode, but I'm exactly the same as you, and it's so funny because I'm like, we started this podcast to like have fun and like let our creativity go, and then we like dive into these like incredibly like deep, dense topics, and we're like thrown into talking about like dark moon Lilith and like, you know, mental health and like relationships. And you have to read me all the comments because I definitely can't see them, but the fortune teller was a good one. Fuck the tech, honestly.
Just for context, guys, our Zoom call, Tanita just left the Zoom call that we record in for the podcast. So
bye.
You're wondering why we're both looking a little bit flustered right now. Just an insight. She just left the Zoom call. So now what we have to do is we've just entered the Zoom call again, and she's going to have a really fun time editing this for Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of the other platforms. But anyway.
Moving on.
Just something that I also want to... Can you give me permission to record, or are you okay to record?
No, I'm not okay to record. 1 second.
You're going to have so much fun editing this last episode of the year. It's just going to be such a fucking mess.
Just like 2022.
Absolutely. So I would just really want to touch on what Hello Crystal said about how to manage mum life and biz, because I feel like that was such a huge reflection moment for so many mums. And I hate to like generalize and be like, I know that obviously there's people here that don't have kids, but I know that there's such a large portion of the spiritual community that do actually have children that feel really overwhelmed with starting up a business, running a business, how to balance it all. So I feel you, girl. That was a good episode. That was a really good episode. Just like getting back to ground, really just, I don't know, normalizing it, because nothing's perfect. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah. And the feedback we had from that episode in particular really blew me away, because I didn't quite realize how many mums were actually struggling to manage everything, and also felt bad about the fact that they weren't actually or like managing it, like, or perceivably managing everything. So that really hit home for me too, in terms of hearing other people's interpretation of that episode and just how that affected them, and just let them soften into the reality of their life. And I think if anything, you and I both preach not to escape reality or try and create a reality that's not aligned for us. And that episode just really brought that home for me in particular. So yeah, I totally agree. That was cool. I don't think there was one episode that I really... Actually, The episode on relationships, that was the only episode I questioned about putting out. I was actually really nervous about putting that one out. And for a split second, I was like, can I message her to delete this? Like, what if I just accidentally delete this out of the ether? Because it was so vulnerable. And I really don't like talking about my relationship, especially on a platform like this. So that was interesting. Was there any episodes like that for you?
Yeah. Before I go into that, I just want to say, Jade, girl, cheers. She said, also, I'm not the only one having a beverage on a Tuesday at the end of the year because it's been a year. I feel like I actually saw your comment on, I forget what, anyway, someone else's picture today on Instagram about getting beverages. And I was like, girl, yes, same. Yeah. This year I was really scared about the relationship one too, because I'm kind of in this, I feel like in this space, in this spiritual space, we kind of feel like we need to put across the fact that, like, even though we're on a spiritual journey and we're spiritual people, that we need to have the perfect relationship. And fuck, like, that is the one thing that like, let's be honest. I mean, I'm going to message you after this and be like, delete this. Yeah. But that's the one thing that I struggle with in my life, is actually co-creating with another person in my life in such a close proximity. No, I hear you. It is hard. And like, I was a single mom for 3, 4, 5, 6, so about 3.5 years. I was a single mom with my first son, and just trying to, when I met my current partner, it was really hard, really, really hard. And I still struggle with the feeling of like having to share my life with another person, having to ask another person if they're okay with, you know, certain things that that I want to do, or certain decisions that I make, or even just listening to their decisions that they want to make, or that, you know, he wants to make as a family. I struggle so much. So for anyone listening, no relationship is perfect. And I was so scared about speaking about the ins and outs of, I guess, the struggles that I have within my relationship. In that episode that we released a few weeks ago. And I'm the same. You just said to me before, you were like, I feel like messaging you and saying to delete it. Yeah. I felt the same. I was like, I was like, do I want the world knowing this? Yes. And then I thought, you know what? It's the whole reason we started this fucking podcast. Like,
that was exactly my thought process too. And I find your journey really inspiring to hear about, because it talks about so many, you know, personal journeys that women go on. Like, for me personally, I was somebody who was incredibly codependent, right? And so my now partner has been teaching me a lot about becoming independent. But you don't want to become too independent, because then you're like controlling, right? And so there's this balance between becoming this like strong, independent, successful woman who can take care of herself, and then leaning on the other side of that, a woman who, you know, can't let down the walls and is controlling. And it's a really interesting energy to juggle. And you're so not alone in that, because I know so many of us, we're on this journey of becoming our most empowered self, but also there's this fear that we are trying to protect ourselves, and we want to, you know, control our situation, because when we're in control, we know what's going to happen, and we like being independent because of that. So yeah, I think it was really empowering to hear you share your story on that, not just for me, but for so many women. And I'm glad we released that episode, and I wanted to share that fear, because we have little fears that come up all the time. And if anything, if I could say to anybody something to take away from this year, is like, just do it. Like, don't let the fear hold you back, because it's going to be there anyway. And you will never actually know how you feel until you've done the thing, and then you're sitting down on reflection from a different state of energy, and you will feel like you're able to look at things from a different perspective. And this year has been a really great experiment and way to just sit with my fears and not necessarily push past them. Because if we didn't record that, we wouldn't have had that impact, right? And so it's awesome to be able to sit back here and like reflect on it all.
Absolutely. Just do it, guys. Just do it.
I love that. I love how you just a little...
Just do it.
Logo maker. I'm going to crack another drink, so don't mind.
For anyone who is listening to this and it's not today. For anyone who is not viewing and they're only listening, I just wrote the Nike symbol and showed it, because just do it, guys. Jade says, I've been shown messages lately about fears and being fearless and taking risks, and today I had a client. Yes, girl.
I love that. Go you.
I feel like... Yes. Oh, sorry, she didn't finish. Watch you get copyrighted by Nike. Yes, Dash, I know, right? Just my luck. I will be. Anyway, Jade says, so today she had a client and tell me she moved her family of 5 from New South Wales floods to Queensland, and they are so happy. Mm-hmm. I feel like in the biggest of decisions that can feel so scary and so overwhelming, and it's something that I'm trying to become comfortable with myself, is making big decisions like that. Risk taking can be one of the most empowering things and the most empowering lessons that we teach ourselves. It's like stretching ourselves past the point of comfortability and out of the zone of any sort of safety, right? Mm-hmm. Where we learn just how far we can push ourselves. And I like to think of it as like a rubber band. It's like, how far can you stretch it before it breaks? You will be surprised how far you can stretch it before it breaks, and how much abundance and happiness that it can bring just by exercising that. So I so feel that, Jade. I so feel that.
Yeah, I always think about that. I always think about that story that Victoria Washington told with the rubber band, and she was like, "It's when you think you're actually going backwards, you really are just going down and getting ready to be catapulted up." And like a rubber band, right? You pull and you stretch back and you push what you thought was possible, and then once you do release and you fully just like surrender into what's happening, that's when you actually go on and up. And that was a really powerful imagery that she shared with us. I remember that. I think I'll remember that for a long time.
Yes. That is like, so just for anyone who hasn't experienced a Victoria Washington experience, she does a lot of embodiment work. And what she does in a lot of her experiences is she gets us to like create a bow and arrow and hold it. Like hold the bow and arrow for as long as you fucking can hold it. And by the end of it, like my arms shake. I'm like, oh my God, my arms are killing me. And then you hold it until your arms are shaking and you feel like you cannot hold the bow and arrow any longer. And then you shoot it. And then it's just like, it's peace, it's bliss, it's like everything coming together. And it's like you're shooting for your goal. You're shooting for the things that you're working towards. You're shooting for the risks that you are too scared to take. You're shooting for everything that your heart desires. And it's just such a beautiful experience.
It is.
Yeah.
And I love just the whole concept of the bow and arrow too, like continuing with that story a little bit, because I feel like for me, I do want to control every single step in the journey. And like a bow and arrow, you can only control so much, right? You can't control the wind. You can't actually like fully control where it lands up. There is a level of faith in that. And I just love that whole imagery. That was a really powerful experience that we did this year. I reckon I didn't actually take as many spiritual or self-developmental like journeys that I thought I would have this year with other people, but that was one of the most powerful ones that I did this year, I reckon.
Yeah, when I first joined that was the thing. I'm trying to think of when the first time I experienced a Victoria Washington experience. And I think it was around the same time, or maybe it was maybe like a month before we launched the podcast. What was it? I think it was around March. And it shifted the whole trajectory of my year. And do you know why it shifted it? It's because she encourages you to actually come back into your body and feel what your body is trying to tell you. And it's really funny because we've actually touched on that so much this year subconsciously through this podcast about listening to her and listening to our body and what she's trying to tell us and following the lead and not straying from her and what she's trying to tell us.
Yeah, we have. And reconnecting to the body has been a major focus for me this year too, especially with just everything that's been happening health-wise. It's been a definite invitation to the body. And I think we've seen that, you know, we're over the hustle, we're over the 9 to 5 kind of cycle of a man's hormones. We want to connect deeper to our own evolution of energy that happens during the day, through the week, through the month, and we want to be able to listen to our body. And that was part of the reason why I loved having divinely human, like the word human, in our title, because it was really important to me to know that this was a safe, spiritual, conscious space, but it was a space that we could talk about the reality of being a human and the fact that we are flesh and bone and we have bodily functions and we have to pay bills and we have children and like all of this stuff. And I think we signed up to reconnect to our bodies the minute we entered this earth. And I think it's a big thing that we forget, is the fact that we are a human and we did enter this body for a reason. We chose this specific body for a reason. And I know it's not always easy to accept that, especially with the just amount of health issues everybody's going through and the fact that we can't always control our body. I know that's a tough thing to accept and there's a lot of like challenges against that, but I believe, and I am of the belief, that our body is ours and we get to walk this journey with our body, and she's got wisdom, like she's got wisdom for days, and we need to give her more space to be heard. And I'm excited to do that a little bit more because I don't know about you, but I've been pedaling the last month. I've just been like swimming like crazy under the surface, just trying to hit like this time of year just so I can like end the year. Oh my God.
Yeah, I feel like the end of the year is such a marker for us. It's like a habitual marker to start new again. I too have been waiting for this ending. I've been like summoning this ending. I need this ending to take place because I need this renewal to also come through and renew me, because I feel like I've been absolutely washed over with so many realizations and new energy that I want to take on, and kind of like I feel like I'm changing my center of view and center of clarity and where I want to be heading this year. So I definitely feel that in terms of waiting for this year to end. It's such a marker for us to start anew. And I know that that's so silly for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, well, why not just start now? It's like, well, sometimes we need the ritual. Like, we can't, like, it's such a human thing. Ritual is such a human integrational thing for us to be able to accept that there's a new beginning coming. So, and also I feel like the fact that people are so against, like, waiting until the new year to start anew, and they're like, oh no, why don't you just start anew now? I'm like, no, I need the new year to start anew. I need this moment. Because we need the integration period. It really helps us to understand that things are changing. It's time. Let's go. Okay, ready, set, shoot. And then we shoot for it and then we're there. So I think that's so hard.
Literally. And like, if that's not an anxious person's like mindset as well, like I feel like I need to plan and prepare and like set everything up, and then I just give my mind and my energy and my body that space to like, oh, okay, like this is what we're doing, like, okay, cool, I'm like so down for that. So I totally agree. I love the ritual. I love the fact that we get to plan this and prepare our body to release, because I think dropping anything in too quickly, sometimes things that happen too quickly aren't always that good for us. And it's nice to be able to like prepare our energy and our body to release all that we no longer want and call in what we actually do want for 2023. So maybe that's a good note to finish off on. Let me know what you're actually calling in for 2023. I'm so curious, because I'm actually calling in more connection, but in a different way this year. I want to create more connection outside of my business. And I'm calling in more peace and just stillness. What are you calling in?
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to say this with a lot of intention because I truly am calling this in. Words are so powerful. This year, and I want everyone to do the same in like the comments.
We will have to sit like this.
Yes, we do. So, this year I am calling in. Hang on, just let me get into the moment. This year I am calling in just a clarity of who is meant to be around me and who I'm interacting with, because I feel like I've just been interacting with so many people out of obligation, and I feel like I'm like, who the fuck am I? I don't even know if that makes sense, but I feel like because being in this community, I feel like you feel so obligated to be a certain way or think a certain thing, and you're like assimilated to think a certain way because everyone else feels this way. And I'm like, no, this year I am calling in a true like uniqueness of why I'm here. I'm also calling in a lot of opulence and abundance through honoring myself, honoring my cycles, and honoring like giving back to myself before I'm giving to other people, because I feel like I've really given this year until I've been absolutely empty and then still felt guilty that I haven't given enough afterwards, which is so fucked up. So fucked up. I am calling in like a new understanding of myself as a woman as well. I feel like this is like TMI, but this year I am really calling in this new way of like embodying myself and honoring myself, because I feel like I have been punishing myself for so long. I feel like I have been like, oh, you're not enough. You aren't like this, or you aren't that. You're not enough of this. You're not enough of that. Instead of actually honoring myself and really celebrating myself. So I feel like this year I'm really calling that in and celebrating myself in a way that isn't pushing myself past exhaustion, that isn't punishing myself or depriving myself of the pleasure that there is to experience in this life.
Oh my God, I love that. No.
Virgo answer.
Long wind all the way. That was beautiful. And I'm celebrating all of that for you. Big time.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there is, sorry, I'm just making sure my phone is not going to run out of battery. Yeah, I feel like there has been such a I don't know, like I've been depriving myself of pleasure and just experiencing everything that we're supposed to be as women. So yeah, anyway, that's me. What about you guys?
I love it. I love it. I can't read any of the comments. They literally stopped so long ago. Otherwise, I would read them out. Sad face.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what's happened. The internet's being weird, but yeah, the comments have stopped on my end. Oh, no. Jade says, Merry Christmas, you beautiful angels. Aww. Beautiful. Yeah, I think that they are being stopped.
Yeah, weird.
But anyway. I just want to say, so we will obviously end the podcast here and probably linger on live for about a few minutes afterwards. But I just want to say thank you so much for doing this with me, Tanita, for creating this space. I'm probably going to cry.
No, don't cry, because I will. No, let your emotions flow. You know, I'm a Pisces, babe. I can handle it.
I just want to say thank you so much for creating this with me, because I feel like this has been, this has been like my passion project this year. And like through speaking and having this dialogue with you for the last 11 months, I felt like I have uncovered so much of myself that I wouldn't have. And I know that so many people feel the same. And I'm just so honored to be able to do this with you and to share this space with you. And I feel like we're going to be doing this until we're 80, because I don't care what you say, I'm never quitting.
Oh my God, honestly. Well, first of all, thanks for trusting me and like not thinking that I was crazy, because I remember when I came to you with the idea of like doing a little thing together, I was like, I really did have the thought. I was like, she's going to think I'm just crazy. And like, because we hardly really knew each other. We spent 8 weeks together in, you know, Akashic Sisterhood. And then after, I was just like, I just felt so drawn to your energy. And you were one of those people where, you know, when you know you're going to have a deeper connection with someone, but it's not quite then and there. It has to wait a moment. And you were one of those people for me. And I remember it just unraveling. So I'm grateful that you trusted me with my crazy idea and that we're doing this. And you've never once made me feel pressured or like told me to show up a certain way. You've really just given me that space to be me and just being a sister and a friend when I had no idea I needed that. Like, I really needed that this year, especially. And it's crazy because we haven't even seen each other in person. We haven't even hugged. Like, I could not imagine us together. Honestly, the universe is probably like, we need to keep these two apart. Like, God, but yes, we will be doing this together. We have decided we will become the Grace and Frankie of our generation, just recording podcasts and like, I love that for us.
Yeah. I love that for us. I love it so much. It's so funny because my partner this afternoon after this is a beautiful full circle moment, but before we jumped on this live and before we jumped on this podcast episode, my partner was saying like, oh, you should feel so lucky that you have this connection with Tanita. And then he was like, are you manifesting to move up to Brisbane? And I was like, yes.
Please, yes. I will manifest that too. Oh, Lord. Honestly, It's so good up here.
Okay. Because I was like, imagine, I was talking to him this afternoon and I was saying, how amazing would it be if every Monday morning we like met each other in person and we were able to do this podcast in person. I was like, my life would be complete. I wouldn't even need you, babe. Like, I would just be so fulfilled with meeting Tanita every Monday morning. Like, you could just not exist. Like, I wouldn't even care. Like...
You know what is so funny about that comment is my partner was like, is this chick, like, is she straight? Like, have you got something else going on behind the scenes that I don't know about? I was like, look, you don't want to know. I mean, like, that's between her and I. It's so funny because I obviously talk about you, like, all the time. And he's like, what are you laughing at? Like, why are you always on your phone? I'm like, leave me alone. I'm, like, talking to my work wife. Like, seriously. So funny.
We are like, absolutely. I'm sorry that was a shock, but like that was honestly absolutely.
Oh, Lord. This reminds me of when we first recorded. So before episode 1 came out officially, we actually recorded an episode before that we could not use because we were laughing the entire fucking time. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, we spent 1 hour just absolutely laughing, cackling, and we were like, you know what, we can't use like us just laughing for an hour for our first episode. So this is a full circle moment altogether.
This is such a perfect full circle moment. Oh my god. Oh my god. I need to just cool down because I feel like my phone was just about to overheat, but now I'm about to overheat.
Oh, that's funny. I'll read out this comment from Britta. Is that how you pronounce your name? You guys, my mentor from astrology posted your podcast a week or so ago and I fell in love. You guys are awesome. This energy is amazing. Oh, we love you. That is amazing. And it's really cool to hear that somebody shared our podcast and you got to find us through that. Like, that really lights me up. So, and it makes me so excited because next year, I'm not going to lie, it's going to be interesting juggling the recording timeline with the corporate job that I've stepped into. But like you, I'm not giving up on this. I am even more excited to record and get that whole schedule down pat and just see what 2023 brings to this space and how it wants to evolve too. I think you guys know us really well. We don't actually want to control, too much around how this actually expands or what it looks like when it continues to grow. So I'm excited for that to happen and I can't wait to find new people and have this community build even more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Honestly, I feel like my heart exploded just then when you mentioned that she'd shared our podcast.
So nice. So nice.
Oh, honestly. And I'm so excited for next year. And I know that we're kind of going over time right now, but
that's okay.
I am so fucking excited for next year. Season 2, we're going to be, it's going to be amazing. I feel like a beautiful way to finish this off is to just have like a moment to have a cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
To not just us.
Yeah.
To not just us. Oh, let me fix my video.
Oh, I thought you were cheersing already.
To not just us, but to every single person who has witnessed this space, who has decided to be a part of this space, who has, listened, who has, I'm just so grateful. So I feel like, I just hit my microphone. Again.
That was me as well.
I feel like this is to you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for just collaborating with us because this has been such a collaborative experience for us. And we're so excited for next year. We're so excited to dive into what, you know, is calling us to speak about and to unravel. And I am so excited to see where this podcast goes next year, because even like looking back on what we've achieved this year with this space has been crazy. Like, honestly, what the fuck? Like Spotify, like with the Spotify Wrapped and stuff like that, like more content than 72% of everyone else in the globe.
I know.
Can you imagine what we're going to be achieving next year?
The amount of shit we're going to be talking. I'm so excited.
So here's to not only us, but everybody else right now watching this podcast, being a part of this podcast. This is to you. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
You have to
we
drink.
love you. Oh, yes, we have to drink. We love you. We thank you. It means the world that you're here. And I like to think of us as one big happy family forever and ever.
We so are.
I feel like I'm not going to ever let go of this.
No. That's a whole other conversation, right? But I agree, and I'm so grateful for all of us. This has definitely exceeded my expectations. I know that, and I'm really excited to continue growing this space with all of you. Continue to stay in touch. We have got some really funny, if I don't say so myself, memes coming out over the break. So we're not going anywhere. I mean, this is the last episode that we'll be recording for the year, but 2023 will be back hotter than ever in February. I think we're going to be taking the whole of January off, but we will not be quiet. Don't you worry about that. We've got so many ideas, so many community activities that we want to do, and just fun little stuff and some funny memes to get us through this crazy holiday season. So until we see you next in a post or in our DMs, we love you. Please continue to listen to any episodes that you may have missed this year. We'll be putting out a recap as well. Please continue to share, send it to a friend. You know, we really do appreciate all the support that we can get, because it matters to us that, you know, our intentions are heard and this space is really nurtured by all of us. So thank you guys, and we wish you and we pray for you during this season, and we hope that you enter 2023 with your seeds planted and ready to just erupt from the ground. Love you guys.
And so it is.
Yes. Oh, so good.